Formula One is a ruthless, unforgiving sport. If you can't compete, you don't drive. And there is no situation that combines pressure, fear, and pure excitement like a rookie F1 driver waiting to drop the clutch and dive into turn one as they wait for lights out on the grid. This year's season opener at the Bahrain Grand Prix played host to 3 such rookie drivers, and each of them had a unique tale to tell throughout the 57-lap race. So we went through the trouble of finding out which of the 3 had the most impressive debut. We looked at how they performed in comparison to their teammates, some key moments during the Grand Prix, and how they compared to one another. Well, let's dive in, shall we? Nyck de Vries. Room for improvement. Let's address the elephant in the room. This was not de Vries' first race. His incredible 9th place finish at Monza the year prior, driving for Williams in place of the appendicitis-stricken Alex Albon, was arguably the drive that put him on the map for AlphaTauri to consider as a replacement for Pierre Gasly. But making a full-time race debut versus hopping into a car on the spot are 2 very different things. Given the different teams, he started in Bahrain as more than just a quasi-rookie. Rather than just being a backup, he was now an official Formula One driver. Therefore, it is reasonable to group the 2020 Formula E champion with Piastri and Sargent, the other true rookies. And making no fuss, he looked to be on par with teammate Yuki Tsunoda right away, with the 2 separated in FP2 by just a few hundredths of a second. However, Tsunoda's greater familiarity with the Pirelli tyres gave him an advantage in qualifying, and after being eliminated in Q1, de Vries admitted that he had not been able to get the tyres into the right performance window for the final run. Starting in P19 in the race, de Vries kept up with his teammates' pace until the final stint, and was happy with his eventual P14 finish, even though he felt that AlphaTauri could have given him a chance to fight for more positions had they pit him under the virtual safety car. Asked if he felt like progress was made in the race, de Vries replied, "Certainly. And in all honesty, I think we were encouraged to find out that we were actually fighting in the midfield. We were up there to fight against the others, and that was positive. We gained some positions, obviously there were some retirements, but I think it was a decent comeback in terms of performance and execution after the last couple of days. We decided to stay out for the last virtual safety car, which maybe would have paid off differently if we did pit, but I think points were not realistic. However, a P12 fight could have been maybe doable, but overall I'm fairly encouraged by our race. Still, de Vries turned in a strong performance, and his ability to keep up with Tsunoda's pace bodes well for his development in the coming weeks and months. For a long time now, the Frisian has been known for his keen ability to analyse situations and his desire to constantly better himself, so he will undoubtedly flourish in any environment where he is given the chance to do so. Logan Sargent, any better than Latifi? Everything in Sargent's professional life has been flipped in the span of just a year. Sargent, along with Sauber Academy driver Théo Pourchaire, was one of Oscar Piastri's main rivals in the 2020 F3 season. But the lack of sponsorship has forced the American into another year in the 3rd-tier category. There, after performing heroics with the struggling Charroux team, he impressed Williams enough to be brought back on as a junior driver. And after finishing 4th in F2, he is now their full-time F1 driver. Following 3 middling years in F3, Sargent has suddenly been thrust into the spotlight as Nicholas Latifi's replacement. Using data from the Bahrain Grand Prix, it's actually quite hard to make a direct comparison between Sargent and Albon, given that the 2 drivers followed vastly different practice schedules and race strategies. That said, there are certainly elements of similarity to consider. There was a sizable gap in practice, however. By qualifying, the gap had narrowed to less than 0.2 of a second, with both drivers competing only 2 timed laps in Q1. It proved to be the difference between Albon making Q2 and Sargent missing out despite setting an identical time to McLaren's Lando Norris, who went through. But the Floridian already appeared to be closer to his teammate than Latifi. Both Williams drivers got off to great starts, with Albon leading the way to a first-lap pass of Tsunoda, Nico Hülkenberg and Zhou Guanyu, and Sargent subsequently followed him through. What followed was a tyre management war on a circuit notorious for its unforgiving tyre demands. But Sargent did not let that deter him as he went on to finish P12. And so Sargent reflects on Bahrain as a strong first race in Formula One, as Williams displayed pace beyond what the team had initially expected. I think really pleased with my first race. I feel like, everything operationally, from race start to pit stops, virtual safety car, everything went smoothly, and really happy with the pace that me and Alex had today. I think the team's done an amazing job all weekend just unlocking that pace. We probably didn't expect where we were now compared to the test, and that's just a massive testament to the work that the team has done. Super proud of everyone. Sargent's failure to qualify for Q2 may have been the only disappointment of the weekend because, as his teammate Albon demonstrated, the FW45 had the speed to do so. Nonetheless, the American racer has already made it known that qualifying is a highlight of his race weekend, so it will only serve as inspiration to perform better the next time. "You don't want to get too greedy. It's been a great weekend," he said. "I'm very happy with the way it went. I'm very happy with the pace we had. Am I a little disappointed to miss Q2? Yeah, because I know the car was capable of making it. So as a driver, that's never the nicest feeling. But to be honest, that fueled me. That gave me more motivation and I want to come back and be better next time." Overall, Sargent drove with confidence in his first race in the FW45, and he looks to have been a shrewd acquisition for Williams, having been left for dead in 2020. A finish of 12th is very respectable, and if the squad has what it takes to aim for more points throughout the season, Sargent will undoubtedly be up there by the season's end. Oscar Piastri. A soul-crushing start with McLaren. As debuts go, Piastri's first run was as traumatic as can be. He retired following his 13th lap, having turned into the pits with a wiring harness problem. After he arrived and was given a replacement steering wheel, it briefly came to life before turning off again as the issue became terminal. The McLaren MCL60 was also not a lovely car to drive by any stretch of the imagination. According to technical chief James Key, the department chose to change directions in September of last year in the hopes of reaping greater performance benefits by the time F1 arrives in Baku. Meanwhile, Piastri and Norris are saddled with a car that McLaren recognises is not the optimal package. Piastri was eliminated in Q1, making it a short but not sweet first experience of Formula One qualifying. He later admitted that he made too many errors and was over 4/10 off Norris by the end of the session. And in the little running he had in the race before the electronics went kaput, Norris was consistently 0.3–0.4 seconds faster. Norris was dealing with his own pneumatic problems at the same time, so whether the electrical issues cost Piastri time compared to him is still unknown. Commenting on the issue for Piastri, McLaren Racing CEO Zak Brown said, "Looks like he had some sort of electrical issue. We had a gearbox-related issue on track, which I think was electronic. We changed steering wheels, but that doesn't seem to have done the trick. We'll have to diagnose what it is, but it appears to be electrical." Piastri explained that the issues began to surface a few laps before he was ultimately forced to retire, and like Brown said, the team had hoped that the change of a steering wheel was going to do the trick. As for the team's car performance issues, new team director Andrea Stella is optimistic that the MCL60 can be developed into a more competitive machine. So perhaps Piastri can take some solace in the fact that an end to the team's struggles may be in sight. Although we're dealing with a sample size of just one race, the freshman class of 2023 shows signs of promise. Each driver has now competed in a genuine Formula One race at a venue that, although more forgiving than a track like Monaco, still presents a real test of tyre management and endurance. It'll be fascinating to watch these three rookie drivers grow throughout the course of the season. So what do you think of the 2023 F1 rookies? Have any of them put on any unexpected performances at the Bahrain Grand Prix? We'd love to hear from you in the comments section below. If you're looking for more F1 news, check out our video on Ferrari's Bahrain nightmare and surprising Red Bull issues here. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to click the bell button to be notified of future videos.